Hi, my name is Kaylee Almich, and today I'm going to be talking about the threat of defunding U.S. public libraries and how this is a fight to save knowledge, community, and intellectual freedom. We'll begin by assessing the problem at its core. Since the first U.S. public library was opened in 1790, these establishments have served as invaluable third spaces. Aside from being a place to check out books and magazines, libraries also provide access to vital resources, information, and community services. Funding for public libraries comes from a combination of local and federal government. While philanthropic efforts such as donations are noted as well, it's really only by a small percentage. That means the majority of funding comes from the federal government, specifically through the Institute of Museum and Library Services, or IMLS for short. The IMLS was established by Congress in 1996 as an independent agency to provide funding for museums and libraries. It is a vital agency, as it is the primary funding source for public libraries. On March 14, 2025, President Donald Trump issued an executive order called Continuing the Reduction of the Federal Bureaucracy. This stated that the IMLS was unnecessary and should, quote, be eliminated to the maximum extent possible consistent with applicable law, end quote. Currently, the only thing preventing this proposed elimination is court orders that have been filed by 21 states, as well as the American Library Association. So, what does all this mean, and why does all of it matter? Well, if the proposed executive order passes through Congress, our nation's libraries will see an array of negative effects. Libraries are primarily places to gather information, whether that be through reading books, browsing online databases, or even just chatting with a knowledgeable librarian. But without proper funding, these libraries face cutbacks and even potential losses of loan programs and databases, as well as staffing. This means far less public accessibility to information, threatening the American people's intellectual freedom. Additionally, many libraries offer important community services such as literacy programs, job search support, technology training, computer labs, language classes, and a whole lot more. Without proper funding, these services will most likely be canceled due to reduced staffing and inability to afford upkeep and materials. This means drastically reduced community impact. Perhaps the most daunting effect, however, is the disproportionate impacts on libraries in low-income, rural, and Native communities. These communities rely almost exclusively on federal funding through grants in order to keep their libraries open. These are also areas where libraries are most essential, as they provide free services to individuals who cannot afford them otherwise. If funding is cut, these libraries risk severe reductions in services provided, and even closures, creating a ripple effect of negative impacts on their towns and communities. Okay, that was a lot of information, and it sounds pretty scary, right? So what can we do? Currently, those court orders that have been filed have prevented Trump's executive order from being pushed through. However, this could change any moment. That's why it's important to make your voice heard. Some actionable steps you can take to prevent this from happening are signing a petition or joining a local protest to speak out against proposed budget cuts, or you can even call your local legislators or send an email to Congress directly to voice your concerns on the issue. All of these are fantastic ways of standing up for public libraries, but perhaps the most effective thing one can do is simply go to a library. Just signing up for a library card and utilizing its services is a fantastic way to keep your library running. There is power in numbers, and when you show up, you're making a point. So, now that you're aware of the threat, how will you fight back?